And with that group, he's benefiting from the dust-up with no less than Pope Francis, who, of course, questioned Donald Trump's Christianity, given his views on building walls and keeping immigrants out. Of course, Donald Trump referring to illegal immigrants, and needless to say, it's caused a bit of a dust-up as to whether Donald Trump, if you looked at a cover of the New York Daily News, is going to hell. Who would know that better than the guy who keeps track of these things? Father Robert Sirico, the excellent Roman Catholic priest, very thoughtful man. So, Father, is Donald Trump going to hell?
It's above my pay grade.
Oh, okay.
It's above my pay.
What did you make of what the Pope said?
Well, first of all, let me say I read it in the Italian, and it doesn't come across quite as harshly, quite as directly as it does through the translations and the news exegesis of it. The Pope doesn't say that Trump isn't a Christian. He says that anyone who would say, anywhere they would say it, who would build walls isn't Christian, that the idea isn't Christian. But I have to admit, I'm surprised that the Pope descended into the specificity of a political campaign, even if he was prompted to by a journalist. It's unprecedented. At the end of the statement, the Pope says, you know, he's not going to judge anybody. He's going to give him the benefit of the doubt, is the phrase that he used. But I think it's unfortunate, especially with Trump, who is so vitriolic, so bombastic, who thinks he's the only one that gets to pontificate, and now the Pope dares to say something that contradicts him.
You know, I don't recall the Pope saying any of the European leaders were unchristian-like in their resistance to taking in these refugees, largely from Syria. So why did he save his blast for Donald Trump?
Well, he was asked what he thought of this candidate, and the building of walls was the thing. I think what the Pope, who is not very good on his feet in spontaneous back and forths like this. We've seen this. I mean, this is like become a tradition. Every time he gets on the plane to go back to Rome or come to some place, he says something. And I think his point was a moral point that we should be embracing, we should embrace people. I don't think he was making a policy statement about what kind of immigrants or how many of them we should receive. Of course, the Pope believes that a nation has the right to control its borders. That's not
And by the way, when
the
it comes to immigrants and accepting people, and as you know, I think we kind of hold the record on that right here in America. That's what we're all about.
I think we do.
Yeah.
And you and I are both descendants of that, as are the vast majority of our viewers today. So, yeah, that is very much the case. And as I say,
on the walls, Father, I'm sorry to interrupt you with breaking news here. On the wall thing, I've been to Vatican City many times. I've had the pleasure. And there are a lot of walls around Vatican City. And that immediately prompted the discussion, well, who's he to talk? He's in practically an armed fortress. Now, it's certainly not that way. And I understand a lot of these were built centuries ago to keep out attackers and all the rest, to which the Trump folks will likely tell you, well, that's essentially what I'm trying to do. What do you say?
Well, I think the Pope would concede that. I mean, any reasonable person is going to say, of course, people need security. The Pope needs security now more than ever. And the United States has the right. The very definition of a nation is that it has its borders. And so I don't think this is a serious critique of whether the United States should have open borders or not. It's a prudential observation, and he's asking that a sense of generosity and openness be instilled in the hearts of men and women, especially those running for office.
So when you go to the Vatican, Father, you don't need a card, or they just let you in. Because when I go there, they need like 6 forms of ID.
It just depends on where you're going in the Vatican. You know, if you want to go to, you know, the
papal residence or
the photo thing, well, the papal residence, I mean, I've had to show ID. You have to have an appointment. Your name needs to be on a list.
That's what I was missing.
When I go to the Vatican Bank to take out all my money, you know, I have to.
Very good. I squeezed through Lent with this interview. Father, thank you very, very much.
We'll have to go there together sometime.
All right. I will need your help. Thank you very, very much. All right.